So you know you need an email list, but what should you actually say in your emails? That's what we're diving into in today's episode.
Welcome to JFDI with the Two Lauras, the podcast for freelance marketers that will help you create a profitable business. Laura Moore and Laura Davis are the Two Lauras, freelance social media marketers and ads managers. Between them, they've got decades of insider expertise that they want to pass on to you. They're also the founders of the Inner Hub, the only membership exclusively for freelance social media marketers, dedicated to helping every member build a profitable business they love. This podcast is sponsored by Agora Pulse.
Okay, so let's just start from the top, shall we? Maybe we just need a quick recap on why email marketing is so important.
Yeah, I think because when we're working in social media, we kind of get in that little bubble, don't we, where we're like, oh, Instagram is the most important thing, or LinkedIn is the most important thing. And in some ways, like, they are really important, but overall, email marketing is the one thing that every single freelancer should have in their bag. You should be doing it. This stat is one of the reasons, and that is that statistics show that every subscriber that you have on your email list will add a minimum, and this is a minimum, of $1 to your revenue every single month. And that's a bare minimum. Like, our email list definitely adds more than that, and yours probably will too. But email is the only channel that you have full control over. So Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you hang out, can change their algorithms whenever they want. The platform can go down. You could have hackers come and take over your account. Anything could happen to your audience there, but also you can never reach every single person in your audience with your content. It's highly unlikely that that will happen. So you don't have control over it. Whereas email, you have control. You have control over when you send an email. To a certain extent, you have control that it's going to land in their inbox. Yes, it may well end up in their spam or their promotions folder, but it's going to land in their inbox. And most of the people who you're sending an email to will therefore see it. They might not see it on the day that you send it, but they will have it in their inbox and they will have the option to open it and see it. They don't have the option as to whether or not they're going to look at your content. They only have the option as to whether or not it's going to be shown to them by the algorithm on social. So it's very different. So you should always have an email list.
I think it's worth saying as well, just from my perspective of someone who is very fussy about the emails I have in my inbox, I think email marketing, you are reaching people who have the intention to read your content. You read your emails.
Yes.
Whereas on social media, people go on social media potentially just to, they're not necessarily going to educate themselves on the latest tips on, you know, how to get engagement on LinkedIn or whatever it is that you've posted about. They're going on there often to fill 10 minutes of it when they're, you know, waiting for the kettle to boil, although that would be a really slow kettle at 10 minutes. But you know what I mean? They're just, you know, quickly scrolling. And yes, obviously they may see your content and the kettle may have boiled by the time, so they haven't got actually time to consume your content. So they may save it, but then it goes into an abyss of hundreds and hundreds of saved posts. Or they may go, oh, I'll come back to that later. But the chances of later, they've forgotten who posted it. They've forgotten where to find it, especially if they're following lots of different people. Whereas email, when you sit down, like I don't open my emails, personal or work ones, until I am sat without noise and I'm able to consume that content. So I'm much more intentional about it. And I'm fairly confident I am not alone in that. And it's much easier for me. So if I read an email and go, oh, you know what, I quite like this, or I need to come back to that, or I'm going to go and read whatever link they've given, I'll save it or I'll mark it as unread because I know I need to come back to it. It's far easier to organise your inbox than organise the millions and millions of people pushing content on social media. It's a much more intimate, isn't it, email?
Yeah.
It's one-to-one.
It feels like you're just reading something that was written for you, whereas on social, you know it wasn't just written for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm saying this all coming from someone who I don't like having lots of emails in my inbox.
No, you hate emails, don't you?
I'm a hard one to market to generally, but email marketing is the one that really irritates me. But I even recognise the benefits, which was why when I was a freelancer, I begrudgingly did the whole email marketing thing and built my list. And, you only have to see the days where social goes down and you can't communicate whatever it is that you want to communicate. Or like you say, the algorithms change and suddenly all of your content is tanking. And in that time that you're trying to figure out the new ways of doing social and the new ways to reach your clients and to engage with your clients, if you've got that email list, you know that you can just continue to speak to people there whilst you're kind of testing your new strategies on social. So,
well, that's like me right now. I'm banned from posting in Facebook groups. We have our members Facebook group and we have our big Facebook group. I can't post in either of them.
Helpful.
Now, obviously, I'm lucky because I have you. So you can go and post in those groups. You know, our business hasn't had to go fully quiet because I can't post in the groups, basically. But even if I didn't have you, I would still have all of those people on the email list so I could still communicate with them. Whereas if you don't have that, you know, you're potentially, for those a month, 6 weeks, however it is I'm banned for, my business wouldn't be showing up, you know, which is really risky.
Yeah.
But also, if you are somebody who is at capacity right now, maybe you've got, you know, all the clients you need, but tomorrow 2 of them say, oh, you know, I don't need you anymore, I'm giving you notice. If you've got an email list of people, you can go straight out to your email list. I've got space. Who needs help?
Yeah.
You've always got people who you can go out to and sell to. And yes, you can do that on social, but the chances of them seeing it at the right time and taking action on social is far lower than it is on email.
Yeah.
So there we go. You need an email list. End of.
Yeah. The end. Right. So I think we've got a couple of kind of questions that I think will be on the tip of everybody's lips. Say, number one, like, how often do I have to send an email? Now, this is something, because people say, how often do I have to post on social media? And social media managers will always give a rounded response because obviously there is no answer. But yeah, social media managers still ask this question. How many times should I be emailing?
As often as you can.
Yeah.
We all know that businesses hiring social media marketers want to see a return on their investment. After all, they probably hired you to make sure their business was being seen by the right people. But ROI is really tricky to prove when it comes to organic social media marketing, unless you can use stone cold data. With Agora Pulse, you can easily see which posts and conversations are driving website traffic, leads, and sales without being a Google Analytics expert. Get 2 months free with Agora Pulse at thetwolauras.com/Agora Pulse and see for yourself. So the more you email, the more people will look forward to your emails and read your emails. The more you email, the more you become known by those people. And the more you email, the more you can potentially turn those people into buyers. So we email every weekday. Our emails are legendary, by the way. People love our emails. If you're not on our email list, you should totally go and get them.
I like our emails.
Even Laura likes reading our emails, which is, you know, unbelievable. But yeah, go to thetwolauras.com/daily and get our daily emails. We just share tips and advice and all sorts of things in there. But they'll give you some ideas of what you should, you know, be putting in your emails. But I think the key to remember is that if you're writing good emails, people will want to read them. So the more that you're giving them those emails, the better. So there's a couple of people's emails who I'm subscribed to who email every day, and like literally Saturday and Sunday as well. And that might sound like a lot, but their emails are so short and they're full of nuggets that I actually actively go and look for those emails so that I can read them. If they were less frequent, maybe I wouldn't do that because it wouldn't be so much on my radar. I wouldn't have read one yesterday and be looking forward to the one tomorrow, you know? So I think, and I'm not saying you need to go out and email every day. Far from it. You need to email as much as you can, as often as you've got something to say, and as often as your audience wants to hear from you. And only you will know that. But if you just think about it, if you only email once a month, people are only going to hear from you 12 times a year. And it's unlikely that they're going to open your email because once a month has passed, they won't remember who you are. You know, your name in their inbox, they'll be like, who's that? And they won't open your email.
Yeah. And that happens, like, this happens to me all the time. Like, I'll download a lead magnet or something from someone and then I don't hear from them. So then when I do hear, I'm like, who is this in my inbox? And I just delete because they're not on my radar. I think it comes down to not overcomplicating it, and which we can come on to in terms of actually what we need to say in our emails. But I think people fear that they have to write these really long emails. It's like the whole newsletter thing. And I just don't think, like, I haven't got time to read long emails. And if I get a long email, I'll just quickly scan. And maybe, maybe that's not necessarily always a bad thing. I'll just quickly scan, see what headlines are, and if anything, catches my eye, I'll read it. But I might have missed out on the paragraph where you're selling something to me because that headline didn't, catch my attention. So I think short and sweet and not overcomplicating things is really important here. But once people have kind of got over the fact that they don't need to, like, obviously we email every weekday and people are like, oh, I can't do that. I haven't got the time for that. The next kind of barrier is they don't know what to say. And what I'm trying to say is that people do kind of overthink it, don't they, a lot of the time, because they think that they need to write these long newsletters or what have you, but they don't need to.
So on your point just then about newsletters and about how you skim them, I think most people who get a newsletter in their inbox, and I have no research to back this up whatsoever, but I think most people who get those long newsletters probably do skim them if they read them at all. And so what a waste of your time, just writing something really long, thinking about it, spending hours on it, and someone's just going to skim it. What's the point? Like I totally understand the point for long content on, for on a blog, people might come and skim a blog, but you need that to be long because of the SEO. You don't need an email to be long because people are either going to open it and read it or they're not. And so when you're sending these long newsletters, it's taking you tons of time to actually, think about what you're going to put in it, collate all of that information, write it, maybe make it look pretty. By the way, pretty emails put me right off because they just look like spam to me. Don't know if you're the same, Laura.
Same, yeah.
So just don't waste time on that. But it's just such a waste of your time. And because it's so long-winded and detailed and time-consuming, guess what happens? You then put it off and you don't do it. So therefore you don't email your list and therefore your list don't hear from you. And therefore they forget who you are. So I would definitely avoid going down that route personally. There's no way we would ever launch a newsletter. Neither of us have got the time or brain capacity for it. But also we know that people wouldn't read it. So it just wouldn't be worth our time. People are time poor. They don't read long emails. That's a sweeping statement. They may well read long emails, but each point of that email needs to bring them down to the next point so they continue reading. So just ask yourself, when was the last time you read a long, detailed newsletter? Have you ever?
And I think if you've got 4 or 5 points that you want to make, just write 4 or 5 different emails.
Yeah, definitely.
Because then it's easier for you. It's easier for other people to consume. Just make sure, as long as they're obviously good value and they're useful, then, don't overcomplicate it.
I feel like newsletters are very early 2000s, and I feel like some people have tried to revive them and some people probably have great success at that. But the success potentially from that comes because they are monetizing those newsletters in terms of sponsorship. So they're placing ads in those newsletters, which is what makes it a success for them because they're making money whether people read it or not. And as a social media marketer, that's not necessarily going to be the case for you. So I would definitely think about your email content just like you think about your social content. Short and sweet, 1 point, 1 key takeaway, 1 call to action. That's what you would do in a social post. And there's no reason that you can't take your social post and rewrite it and put it in an email. How easy is that? If you're posting on social, why aren't you also sending it in an email?
And I think we all need to realise that not all of our audience see our social posts. We need to all remember that. If you've got 100 followers on Instagram, the chances are that probably only 5 people have seen that content. So if you're sending it on email, it doesn't matter if the same person saw it on social also sees it in their inbox, because they may actually read it again when they've got more time. Like we've talked about, they're more intentional. They possibly have allowed themselves the time to read it. And they may take something different from it that they didn't take from social media because you may have tweaked how you've written it. But also you've then got all the other people who haven't seen your social content then getting value from that content as well. Repurposing your social content for email is so important and useful and easy. Yeah, definitely. Because you can take a social post and you can say it in exactly the same way. You could say it in a totally different way. You could go more in depth. You could just say, I shared this really great tip on Instagram today. Here's the link. How long does it take you to write that email? Really quick. And then that's getting people to click a link. So there's so many different ways that you can share
your social content. And if you're spending time creating social content, which by the way, you totally should be doing, then, definitely reuse it in an email. It's the easiest way to write emails.
Or just from the other flip side, is that obviously your emails can be repurposed onto your socials. So if you're struggling to think of what to say on social, what emails have you sent recently? Can you just put those on social? Can you repurpose them?
Yeah, and you can repurpose your emails. No one will ever have noticed that we've sent the same email numerous times. Maybe we've changed it slightly. Maybe we've added a different PS. Maybe we've had a different subject line. And I'm not saying we've sent it one day and then sent it the same the next day. But over time, we keep a record of all of the emails that we've sent so that we can go back and reuse them, but also so they can inspire us to say something else. Because all of that content is such, it's like a library of inspiration that you can go back and look at. We also keep emails from other people in our inbox to inspire us for ideas. And these are not people who are in our industry. They're people who are in completely different industries that we read emails from, because they might just spark, we could talk about this today. And that will help us for our emails and for our social content. And, I do that a lot. And also, when it comes to writing emails, quite often there's things that are happening in your days. There's very rarely things that are happening in my day, so I have to go to Laura Davis for her ideas. But they will spark you an idea of what you could say in your email. So this morning, I sent a message on Slack to Laura saying, what can we talk about in email today? And she gave me a list of things, one of which was that the rain had completely destroyed her peonies. So we used that as something to talk about in an email, and we just flipped it so that it was relevant to marketing. If you've read that email, by the way, let us know if you enjoyed it. But there's always something that's happening in your life that you can make useful or valuable to other people. And the people who are on your email list want to hear from you. You're not hassling them by sending them an email because they joined your email list. And if they don't want to read it, they can unsubscribe. So don't worry about sending too many emails or trying to pack tons and tons of value in them. The short, sweet, nugget-based emails are often the best. But I think something that people forget to do in emails quite a lot is to sell. They forget to tell people how to work with them or how to buy from them. And what's the point in emailing people if you're just going to keep giving them free content all the time? There needs to be something in it for you as well. So we will often have a PS, Robin Kennedy, call this a super signature, and we put that in the bottom of our emails with different ways that we can help people. You could do that the same. Here are 3 different ways that you can work with me. Or you could do an email that is literally just about your service. This is how I can help you. This is what I do. Here's how you book. You need to sell to people who are on your list. Otherwise, your list is definitely not worth that $1 per subscriber per month.
You can tell some stories, tell your case studies that you might be putting on your website. You can summarize those and say, look, I've just worked with this client, or this is what my client has just achieved in the last 30 days on their ads, or this is what's happened, or, you can just use that on your socials. And then that gives you a direct way to say, well, look, and you could get this too. This is how you can work with me. But, so don't be afraid to kind of tell stories about your clients as well as your peonies.
Definitely. And if you're thinking, this is great, Laura's, but, I haven't got anyone on my list, so who am I going to email? Well, you just need to get people on your list. So if you go to thetwolauras.com/ideas, that will give you 34 ideas for lead magnets. The lead magnet is what's going to get people onto your list. So go to thetwolauras.com/ideas, and that will give you, all of these different things that you can create yourself a lead magnet. You can put it out into the world. People will come onto your list, and then you can start emailing them.
And then when you've got a lead magnet, you've got something else to be talking about on your social media.
Exactly. And just remember, email is so important for your business. If you don't have an email list, you are literally leaving money on the table, and you are literally putting risk into your business. So please start an email list. If you have started an email list recently, or if you have listened to this and thinking, actually, yes, this is right, I need to go and start an email list, drop into our DMs and let us know, because we're really passionate about this stuff. We think this is really, really important. It's made such a massive difference in both of our freelance businesses and, our business now. So yeah, go do it.
And if you're in the Inner Hub, you've got access to lots of resources about how to make the most of your email marketing and how to kind of monetize your email marketing. So go check out all the resources in the Inner Hub. And if you're not in the Inner Hub, you can come and check us out at thetwolauras.com/inner-hub.
Yeah, we will see you in there. So I hope this episode has been useful and will inspire you to send more emails. We are back same time, same place next week. And make sure you hit follow and subscribe so you don't miss that episode. And we'll be back then.
Arrivederci.
Ciao. Is ciao goodbye? I don't know.
I don't know. I thought actually
now.
Arrivederci is Italian as well.
No idea.
Okay, bye.